Hey everybody, Grant Clayton here, founder and CEO of 1% List. I want to make a quick video on the listing process. So this video is going to take you through a step-by-step process of everything you need to do from pre-listing, getting your paperwork done, getting your house listed, all the way through the end to closing. This is every single step. Now then, I might miss a thing or two that some people will do, but this is all the necessary steps. This is all your major stuff, and feel free to comment down below if you think that there's something that I missed that should be in the video. I'd love to hear from you. So step one, once you speak with a client, whether it's at the grocery store or through a text message or on the phone, they say, okay, I'm ready to list my house. The first thing that you want to do is get an address and search the MLS or tax records to get some information on the house. The MLS is the best resource. I always make a point to ask them, hey, has it ever been sold before? Did you buy it from an agent? Did you build it yourself? That's never seen the MLS. What's what's the history on the house? But typically, for the vast majority of homes, you're going to find where it's been listed or sold or leased or something on the MLS prior to you getting your hands on it. And so you can start pulling the footages on the house. You can start finding all the information on the house. And once you do that, you can check tax records to see, when it was built, what they declared the living footage is, and start cross-referencing that with the MLS. And you're probably going to get the same number over and over again. It's never a bad idea to get a house measured, but this is a good starting point for starting to value a home. Now then, the next thing I like to do is I like to do a market analysis on the MLS to find the maximum and the minimum that I think that a house could sell for, because you haven't been to the house yet. So since you haven't been to the house, it's important to say, okay, well, they've lived in the house 10 years. They might have had 15 kids and totally trashed the house and 50 pets. Okay. They might have 10 cats and 20 dogs in there. They might be a hoarder. You never know. But then again, they might have taken that house and completely renovated it and made it amazing. You never know until you walk in the door. So you do that market analysis, and I've got a separate video for how to do a market analysis, which you can reference. But you do that market analysis and you find that peak that, hey, if this house is perfect, it's going to go for 200 a foot. If it's totally trashed, it's going to go for 100 a foot. And then you go to that listing presentation armed with that information. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to make an appointment. And the first thing that you're going to want to do once you make that appointment, you're going to walk in the door and you're going to tour the house. And the whole time you're touring the house, you're making mental notes of, okay, it's 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, it's this, it's this, it's this. But you're also sliding that scale up or down from the average to see where you think it's going to be. So if 200 is perfect, totally renovated, gorgeous house, $100 is totally trashed and it needs to be completely renovated. In the middle is that 150, 160 range. You're walking around figuring out, okay, am I sliding that up or am I sliding that scale down? Okay. So take a good tour of the house and start figuring out where you think it'll go. Okay. Next thing is going to be to deliver your listing presentation. I know ours is pretty simple. It's pretty short and pretty sweet, but you might have one that's an hour long. I mean, I wouldn't be thrilled if you had one that's an hour long and you were listing my house, but explain to them what you do, how you do it, how you intend to market their home, what they can expect of you. Basically, you're setting expectations of what they should expect of you based off of you being their agent. Okay. I've done a completely separate video on delivering the listing presentation. If you're one of my agents, we actually have a listing presentation video that's our listing presentation in a graphic, like an animated format. You can use that however you choose to do it, but deliver the listing presentation and make them understand what you do and set expectations. Now you're going to start to arrive at a price. And you need to understand how people shop online, because almost every home is now discovered online. Figure out how that impacts price. So if you got a house that you think is worth $395, all right, and they really want to push the envelope, okay, you let them go to $399. Even if it's worth $390, you're going to let them push you to $399 at a list price. Okay, that's probably not the end of the world. But if it's worth $395 and they want to push you to $405 or $408, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot, because all those people searching in those price brackets, like no buyer has ever told me, you know what, I'm shopping for a house between 273 and 308. No one's ever said that. They also, all right, I need 3 bedrooms from 350 to 400. I need this from this price to this price. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. And so, you want to make sure they aren't shooting themselves in the foot by jumping to a higher bracket that you can't justify for no reason at all. Okay, so get your paperwork done. We typically charge 1% here at 1% Lists, but we don't believe in lowballing a buyer's agent. And so if you're going on a listing appointment and you're trying to get 6% or whatever it is you want to get, understand that if you only offer 2% to a buyer's agent, you're not doing your client any favors with the listing of their home. Every agent can see what they're getting paid. Okay. And so since they can see what they're getting paid, if you lowball a buyer's agent so you can keep more money for yourself, you are going to stifle activity on the house. It's just common sense. Agents want to sell things that they're going to be paid for. If you're paying less than everybody else is paying, they're not going to want to sell your house. Okay, so we don't believe in lowballing the buyer's agent. Okay, we charge 1% for full service on the listing side. We always offer, there is no norm, there is no traditional, but there is kind of an average of what's out there and what you're seeing buyers agents be paid, and we always want to at least pay that average. Okay. Once all your paperwork's done, agreed on a price, the next thing that you're going to want to do is give staging advice and start to order professional photos. If the gardens look like they're just a wreck, get them to weed them, throw down a little bit of mulch, little things like that. What gets me is clutter. If you got people with small rooms, like small bedrooms, but they have to put, a bed and a sofa and a dresser in there, tell them, hey, this is probably not a good idea. Okay, it makes your house feel small. Okay, so just get them to declutter. We want the house as open as and airy as possible for professional photos. This is a great time while you're there at the listing appointment. I like to go ahead and reach out to a professional photographer, get them scheduled to come out there as soon as possible, get the house ready, get all the lights on, get all the clutter out from everywhere. Even if they're just going to take the clutter and stick it in the garage, it's better than it being in the house. Most people can look at a garage and say, yep, this is a garage. It's got a couch and a dresser in it, but it's a garage. Right. But whenever they walk around a master bedroom and it feels like they can't even walk because there's so much furniture in there, you're really hurting yourself. So get your professional photos done. Make sure you get all your important documents done. If the house has a well, if it has a septic system, there's disclosures you have to go through that in most states. If it was built, a long time ago, you might have lead-based paint disclosures that you need to disclose. So just make sure all your are done properly. Take your time, get all your documents done, and then get them housed in whatever you use, whether it's .loop or DocuSign or SkySlope or whatever it is. Get it all in there, submit it to your broker to review, and also make sure you share a signed copy with your sellers. So make sure they got a signed copy of whatever they signed as quickly as possible, and just get it up there for review and get it up there housed where you can find these things. Okay. So next step, list the home on the MLS, attach all the required documents to the MLS. Make sure you order your photos on the MLS to draw better attention. So for example, we typically, I believe it's a requirement almost everywhere now that the front of the house has to be first. But if you got, an amazing living room, amazing kitchen, and an amazing outdoor kitchen and a pool, feature everything in that order. Don't be like, okay, here's the front of the house, and then here's one kid's bedroom and another kid's bedroom, and here's our bonus room. And by the way, we got a pool that's amazing, but you're probably not going to click through 20 things to see that pool. All right, go ahead and put your pretty stuff first. Make sure you lead with your good side. Okay, so get all that stuff out there, and then once you have all that done, once it's listed on the MLS, it'll be syndicated out to all the other websites like Zillow and Realtor.com and all those other places. If you are the type of person that does open houses and broker tours, now is the time to start planning those and getting your social media shares ready for those. So start planning those. And what we like to do is get a professional social media share that shows our value proposition. Hey, this person's going to save money by using us. We have very professional looking social media shares that we use for that. So go ahead and grab a social media share that has your photo, a beautiful image of the home and all that stuff on there, and share that across everywhere on social media. Okay, just make sure you share something pretty. Don't just share text. Don't make it blah. Nobody's going to read it. But if you share a pretty like graphic design caliber social media share, people will do that. The next biggest thing, and I see agents do this all the time and it drives me bonkers. Always use links from your website. If you don't have a website, then use your broker's website. Whatever you do, don't go grab a link from somebody else's website or some other website like Zillow or Realtor.com and start sharing that all over social media. What you are doing is you are literally driving traffic and leads away from yourself and to someone else. That makes no sense. Please don't do that. Okay. Get all the traffic you can get. Grab a link from your website or your home office broker's website, put that on social media and drive that traffic to where you can capitalize on that traffic. Don't send that traffic away, because those people literally exist to take your business and sell it back to you. If you can keep it for yourself, keep it for yourself. Okay. Next thing, pay attention to the days on the market. Okay. Market is great and you're getting no attention on your house, then your house might be overpriced. This is especially true if you're dealing with a unique house in a unique area. Now, look, if you're dealing with, you know, Victoria Plan B in this neighborhood, and there's 30 other Victoria Plan Bs in that neighborhood, then you're probably spot on your pricing, and you probably are good to go. You're just getting unlucky, but just be prepared. If pay attention to the market. Maybe make like every Friday or every Monday, something like that. You're going to run a quick CMA and check on the market status on all of your listings. So that way you'll know how you stand and how you compare to the market, right? And you'll know if you're overpriced. This is the biggest art form for an agent, is pricing homes. Okay. I probably didn't give that enough time earlier in the video when it came to doing a CMA, that this is the hardest part of being an agent, is pricing homes. Okay, we are better at it than appraisers. A good realtor is much better than a good appraiser at pricing a home. Okay, appraisers are typically good at giving you an opinion of value after somebody's written an offer. We have to pluck a number out of our heads. We have to pluck a number out of midair, and we have to be right. Otherwise, our clients lose money and they're leaving money on the table. So take your time, do a great CMA. Okay, but know if you aren't 100% confident in the value of your home, you can always ask for somebody else to give you a second set of eyes. But know if you're 1 week in and the market is great and you're not getting any activity, you probably missed the mark on your CMA. You're probably off. And don't be afraid to tell your client, look, you have a unique property in a unique area. It's hard to value this home. It's not easy. So let's try here. I'm certain we're not leaving money on the table here. And then let's see what happens. Let's make a plan to talk in a week. And if nothing's happened, then we know we overshot. Okay. So every day that goes by that you're overpriced, you're going to have to chase the market down. Okay. Typically you can price a house at 350 and it'll go quick at 350. If you price a 350 house at 375, oftentimes that house winds up going for 335 or 340. Because it gets stale. And it gets stale just because nobody thinks you're serious for selling it because it's so damn overpriced. And so pay attention, do a CMA pretty regularly, and know who your competition is, and know if you need to get more aggressive. And don't be afraid to tell your clients. Your client is probably not going to get mad at you for saying, hey, I think we're too high. Worst case is they'll say, I don't want to drop it. But they'll at least respect you for telling them something. Where they won't respect you is if 3 months has gone by and the property's dead and you haven't talked to them about it. That's where you're going to have an issue. Okay. So just be proactive. Being proactive is, it's really the key to everything. Okay. So next thing, once you receive an offer, negotiate appropriately based on market conditions. Once again, here's your CMA, right? So pay attention to those market conditions, know how much competition is out there, know whether, you're the only house under 400K with a pool, okay, and you can play hardball, or know whether you are one in a million other houses and they'll just go to the next house in the neighborhood. It's the same floor plan. Okay, so just know where you stand. Negotiate appropriately for your client based off of the amount of leverage you have. Don't be afraid to tell your client, hey, we don't have the leverage here. I can try, I can do whatever you ask me to do, but it's my job to be truthful. Okay. It's my job to tell you the reality. but I'll do whatever you want. Okay. Don't be afraid to use those words to your client. Okay. The face you show to your client, the easiest way to explain is this: the face you show, the truthful face to your client, is different than the leveraging pit bull face that you're going to show to everyone else that you're trying to negotiate against. Okay. It's your job to represent your client to the best of your ability. Okay. But it's also your job to tell your client the truth. All right. And sometimes they're going to put you in a situation where you just can't win, but you got to do your best. All right. So negotiate appropriately based on the CMA. Don't be afraid to tell them, hey, I understand you don't want to take this offer, but you're not going to get a better one. Okay. Based off market conditions, I really don't think you're going to get anything better than this. Don't be afraid to use those words, because if you don't, they're going to come back later and say, why didn't you tell me to take that offer? Okay. Be truthful. All right. Be stern, be truthful. That's why they hired you. Okay. Next thing, make sure all offers any offer that you're considering is coming from a pre-approval, coming with a pre-approval letter, preferably from a local lender. Okay. Once again, local lenders are great. They're more likely to use a local appraiser. They're more likely to use a local, everything. You can go down the street and knock on their door. That's what you want. All right. The more local, the better. So a pre-approval from a local lender is incredibly important. If they don't give you a pre-approval for whatever reason, if it's Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day, something like that, put verbiage in the contract. Contract is to be considered null and void if I don't have a pre-approval from reputable local lender within 48 hours. You can do that. If you have a multiple offers, this is another great one. If you have a multiple offer situation, okay, one offer is for $350 from some Yahoo lender.com that you've never heard of, and they're up against an offer that's $348 from the best local lender in town. I'm going to tell you that $348 offer is better than the $350 offer. I just am. It is, because you're going to get that $348 offer. Okay. That $350 offer, your client might be living in a hotel for a month while they try to close on their other house because of that .com lender. Okay. And look, I keep bagging on the huge big name lenders, but using somebody that you can get on a cell phone on a Sunday. If you don't feel like you can do that with somebody, then you shouldn't be valuing their pre-approval letter. You shouldn't be valuing them as if they fully vetted this person. All right. Once you're under contract, inspections come next. Be mindful of your contract price and the CMA. If you totally killed it on the offer period, if your house is a $350 house and you got them under contract for $360, be prepared. That buyer is probably going to ask your seller to fix a lot of things. But if they completely raked you over the coals on the offer period, I wouldn't feel as motivated to fix a bunch of things, because you might feel like, hey, you know what? I could probably go back on the market and get a better offer. So just know how much leverage you got, know where you stand. Okay. So once the inspections are done, once you have that inspection report and they ask for a bunch of things, don't be afraid to offer an allowance on things. Don't be afraid to tell them, no, we're not going to fix this stuff. I'm sorry. These are minor things. You can deal with all this stuff. We are willing to do this. We're willing to provide an allowance for this, because people don't fight over money. Okay. Well, if you offer somebody a $500 allowance, once it comes time to do the final walkthrough, nobody's going to say, oh, well, I don't like the way you gave me this $500 allowance. But they might say they don't like the way you fixed something. They don't like the way this was repaired. And so we're delaying the closing, which delays the purchase of the next house for your client. They might say that. All right. So don't be afraid to offer an allowance for something. And I typically advise my sellers, look, even if we think this is $500 in repairs, if you offer them $600 worth of allowances and it allows you to wipe your hands of the process, focus on nothing but your move, and you don't have to worry about anything blowing up in your face, that's great. Okay. Now then, it's always important to make sure a lender is okay with repair allowances and things like that. It might have to be offered as a closing cost incentive or a closing cost allowance, something like that, instead of repair allowance. But just be prepared to have that in your back pocket. Okay. Understand that inspection periods can blow up a deal. Okay. You can absolutely kill a deal with an inspection. Okay. You can kill a deal with an inspection response. So just understand that just because you got that great offer doesn't mean that you've closed on it yet. All right. All that can blow up in your face. Appraisals come next. If you've really knocked it out of the park for your seller and you got them a great number, don't be afraid to do a market analysis and leave it at the home for the appraiser, like a suggested list of comparables, and say, look, these are the comps that we think are most applicable to this house. Yes, you're going to cherry pick them, but you never know. An appraiser might totally agree with you if you present them to them. But then again, if you don't present them anything, they might pull a bunch of bad comparables, and your client thought that they were going to do great on their house, and now they're not going to do anything on their house. Now they're back on the market, all because, and your buyer deal on the backside, that's dead now because their deal's falling apart, all because they got a bad appraisal, because an appraiser pulled this house from over here instead of this house from over here. Look, you're not allowed to do their job for them. You're not allowed to tell them how to do your job, but you are allowed to make suggestions. You can say, hey, these are the 6 properties we think are most comparable to this house. And yeah, by the way, they all sold for a lot of money. You can do that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. They might ignore it, but you can try. And if you did really, really well on the offer period, I would strongly advise you to do that. Okay. So once you're done with appraisals and everything's good, oh yeah, another thing on appraisals. The benefit of using a local lender is local lenders typically use local appraisers. All right. A lot of the big box lenders, they're kind of famous for using an appraiser that lives an hour away or an hour and a half away. It's really hard to know a market if you live that far away. Those local lenders generally know the local appraisers, which know the market. And at the end of the day, it's all we can really ask for is, hey, do you know the market? Do you know better than to pull this comp from over here because it doesn't work? Okay. Another plug for using a local lender. I can't recommend good local lenders enough. Okay. So after you through appraisals, remind your clients to make the agreed upon repairs, keep paid invoices and share them with the other agent. So anything that's got to be repaired, make sure it gets done, make sure they have a receipt, make sure it's stamped paid on the receipt or written paid on the receipt, and just share that with the other agent. Okay. Make sure your clients are out of the home no later than the morning of the closing. Once they close on that house, they're not allowed to live in it for a day or two while they finish moving out, unless y'all have agreed to that. Believe it or not, there's a lot of sellers who just don't realize that. They're like, hang on, I can't keep living here. Like, no, you don't own it anymore. You're supposed to be out. All right. Have that conversation with them. A lot of this is just understanding that, if you're a great agent, you're going to do this 50 times a year. Most people are only going to move about 10 or 12 times their whole life. You can't expect them to know what you know, especially when they're stressed. They got kids. They're moving across the country. They're not thinking like you are. Their head is not where your head's at. Just make sure they understand, hey, you know what? You got to be out the morning of. All right. Just so they can do their final walkthrough. You got to be out the morning of. Make sure they're leaving everything that they're supposed to leave. Okay. Like they're leaving the drapes. They're leaving the speakers in the ceiling. They're leaving all that stuff. Explain what a fixture is. Okay. A fixture is pretty simple. The easiest way to look at a fixture is this. If you could pick up a house and turn it upside down and start shaking it, what would still be stuck? Okay. So a picture on a wall is not a fixture. A ceiling fan mounted to the wall, like mounted to the ceiling. Ceiling fan is a fixture because it'd still be stuck there. A range that's clamped to a wall with a gas line. Okay. That is a fixture. A refrigerator that's just plugged into a wall, not a fixture, but a built-in refrigerator. Okay. Like one of the fancy big built-in refrigerators with trim kits and everything else where it's built into cabinets, that generally is considered a fixture. All right. Explain to them, hey, you can't take your ceiling fan, can't take your drapes, you can't take anything that's mounted to the house. Okay. So just make sure they understand those things. Make sure if they agreed to leave the TV, they're leaving the TV. Okay. And then after that, after all that's done, just always attend your closings. You'd be shocked at how many people don't go attend a closing. I mean, you've gone through all this to get it to this point. Now it's to go to the closing. This is the culmination of everything. This is the point where you're going to shake hands and have a cookie with them at a closing table or whatever else it is that you do. Give them a nice gift. Thank them for their business. Ask them to please keep you in mind for referrals. All those things. You could have been a stellar agent. This is 21 things we've gone through. You could have been a stellar agent through the first 20. And then you drop the ball and you forget to go to a showing, or you just don't bother to tell them you're not going on the 21st. And all they'll remember about you is that you didn't bother to go. Okay. It's hard to ask for referrals and it's hard to expect referrals out of people if you can't be bothered to go to their closing. Okay. So just go. Go, smile, be nice. You never know what could come up. Something could blow up in everybody's face. Okay, just go and do your job. You know, this is the icing on the cake. Don't forget to put the icing on the cake. So I'm Grant Clayton. I'm the founder and CEO of 1% List. I appreciate you guys for taking a minute to watch this video. If you have any questions, comment below. If you disagree, comment below. If you think I missed something needs to be in there, comment below. I love the feedback. And yeah, just tell me what you think. I appreciate you taking time to watch. Hopefully this helps you navigate the listing process, and hopefully it goes smoothly for you. Have a great day.